been 3 years since the Boruto timeskip began, and Ikemoto has introduced some of the most unique and broken abilities that we have seen thus far in the story. In this video, we'll be breaking down all of them, the 5 most broken abilities that the story has showcased thus far in the timeskip. So like and hype up this video because the first ability that we will be talking about is arguably the most broken one. Now, none of these abilities are in any particular order, and I will leave you guys to be the ones to decide in the comment section below the order of these abilities, but the first ability that we have to discuss is Ryu's Iron Sand. I feel like this ability is way too underrated, and I don't understand why, because not only is this ability absolutely cool, but it is broken and has multiple different applications. First, Ryu is able to use his Iron Sand for detection. He does this by spreading his Iron Sand around a given area, which not only allows him to sense the various people that are in that location, but he's also able to sense anyone's bloodlust. This is a very useful ability because it allows Ryu to stay on guard and be quite aware of his surroundings. When teaming up with the Leaf and Sand Ninjas, this was incredibly important, because he used this ability to notice Yado's bloodlust, which was through the roof. By being able to detect this, he was able to bait Yado into revealing her true intentions, by baiting her by taking out his soul-torn bulb and seeing what she would do. This messed up the plan completely and gave Ryu an advantage, allowing him to see exactly what was taking place. This is just one application of the ability, but what really makes Ryu broken is the next one. This part of Ryu's abilities by controlling the Iron Sand takes Ryu to an absolute different level. As using the Iron Sand, Ryu is capable of controlling his enemies' bodies just like puppets. This is similar to a lot of the sand techniques that we saw back in Naruto, where characters like Kankuro were able to make puppets. But in this case, it is not with puppets, it's with real people. And there is nothing that they can do once they are trapped and caught. Ryu achieves this by coating his opponent's body with Iron Sand, which grants him the ability to move and control anybody's body. We see that he uses this against characters like Sarada and Yado, who have crazy sensory abilities, but were not able to notice the fact that they have already been caught. Ryu then controls their bodies and forces them to attack each other, while Ryu chills with a little bit of aura, hands in his pockets, and simply watches what is going on as these guys are about to attack each other. This ability is so broken that the only real way that it was cancelled out was by Ayara having a special blade that was already encoded with Shinki's chakra before the battle even took place. And since Shinki and Ryu shared the same chakra, Ayara was able to undo the abilities of Ryu. So basically, Shinki helped stop himself due to the simple fact of how convenient it was that Shinki had already given some of his chakra to Ayara before this battle had taken place. But if we are to take this application against somebody who doesn't have this blade, it becomes quite harder for anyone to think about defeating Ryu, as this ability works a lot when you are fighting multiple different opponents. Ryu can just be one person facing multiple different opponents and can flip the table, making everybody his pawn with this simple ability of controlling them using his Iron Sand. As with his Iron Sand, he can sense people's bloodlust, so he can already know who is not really on my side and who is showing signs that is looking to betray me, and then by using that he can strategically plan his next move by controlling said person or using somebody else as a pawn, in the sense of you're not going to be able to attack this person that I'm controlling because you care about that person. This is exactly what we see take place in their fight, where Ryu ends up taking Ayara and uses his body as a shield against Mitsuki, which causes Mitsuki to stop his attack and then be forced to get hit by Ryu's own attack, because in that case we have Ryu who used somebody else's body as a shield to stop that person from attacking him. You can already see how broken this ability is. If you can't remove the sand, you are absolutely cooked. And this is why I say that this ability is broken and criminally underrated. So if there's any Shinji member that could potentially come back, I want my boy Ryu to come back. He was absolutely funny and possesses such a cool ability. But maybe we get to see Shinki develop or even use the same ability, as it would be pretty cool to see come back. Now the next broken ability we see in the time skip is the ability that allowed Sarada to negate Ryu's Iron Sand, and that is Sarada's Orihime, which is at least top 2, if not number 1, most broken Mangekyo Sharingan abilities, and I'm just waiting on that second ability to give my full stance on it being number 1, because with just one ability, it is already making the list. And this ability is what allowed Sarada to counter Ryu's Iron Sand and ultimately defeat him. Mangekyo Sharingan Orihime allows Sarada to create 4 black spheres that have gravitational powers. She can pick and choose what person or object is affected by simply looking at them, and absorb any kind of ninjutsu or projectiles. In addition, she can manipulate the size of the orbs and its gravitational powers. In the Boruto database, it says that it varies from 5 to 250 centimeters, in which she is capable of controlling the size of the orbs. We see in her fight versus Ryu that she can control the gravitational powers to be so strong that it made it impossible for Ryu to even lift a finger. Finally, to destroy and defeat her opponents, she can detonate those orbs, which has been shown to atomize her opponents. She did this to Ryu and did this to about 16 Mamushi clones all by herself. What is also interesting and is described in the Boruto database is the fact that she can not only just levitate, as we have seen her do in her fights versus Ryu and Mamushi, but she can also fly at high speeds just like the Otsuzukis. So I hope we get to see a panel of Boruto and Sarada flying in the future. That would be amazing, seeing Sarada go so fast using these orbs, which is quite a useful application for her abilities. However, the downside is that it consumes a large amount of chakra, and might be a lot more than any other Mangekyo Sharingan that we have ever seen. And just like with the other Mangekyo Sharingan abilities, it does damage the eye, so Sarada will have to deal with this by either finding a way to prevent her eyes from going blind, or by attaining the eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. But nevertheless, this ability is still absolutely broken, as I can't even think of an ability or strategy that could work on stopping those orbs from destroying you. Teleportation wouldn't work, as Sarada would simply absorb the markers that you end up placing. The only real thing that would work is a senjutsu like the Karma, which allows you to absorb various ninjutsu. So you could simply absorb the black spheres if they are not an object and just ninjutsu. Or with Ishiki's Sukuna Hikonen, a character like Kawaki would be able to shrink the orbs, reducing its gravitational powers. But that's the only thing I could really think of. But if you don't fit those requirements, which the majority of characters don't fit, you are simply going to be destroyed after you hear Sarada activate this jutsu. The next most broken ability that we're going to be talking about is the Uzuhiko. And obviously, you guys know that it was going to make it at some point in this video, because yes, this ability is absolutely broken, and I kind of feel like after Boruto's fight versus Jira, it got a little underrated. And the reason why I say that it is broken is because it has 2 stages, and these stages have various different applications and usages that just make it broken. Every single way this ability can be used is just broken. Boruto's Uzuhiko is a variant of the Rasengan that takes his chakra and the chakra of the planets, which means its centrifugal force, rotation, and orbit, and infuses all of those properties into the Rasengan. Boruto can charge this ability to the maximum capability, where he can defeat even a character like Hidari in one single blow. Even if this attack doesn't kill you, it attaches the planet's rotation onto the person, making it feel like he is continuously spinning like we see with Code. However, this is not the only effect that we see. This is not the only stage, as Boruto doesn't even need to hit you. If you touch Boruto while he has the Uzuhiko active, the swirls get passed on to you, and it causes you to feel a mild sense of disorientation, making it harder for you to hit Boruto, just as we see in the fight versus Code. The best way to understand this stage, this mild stage of disorientation, is by remembering this spinning game that everybody played as a kid, where you are spun around in a continuous manner around this circular object, and then you go around and around, and then when you come out of it and try to walk normally, your balance and perception is completely disorientated, where you are walking around and fumbling your way around, and then slowly and slowly it comes back. This is what happens when you simply touch Boruto, which makes it easy for Boruto to dodge your movements and simply attack you back. And what is quite interesting about this ability and makes it even more broken is the fact that it doesn't stop unless the planet itself stops rotating, which means that everybody would basically be flung around and would basically never happen. Unless that takes place, then you are continuously going to be feeling that feeling unless Boruto turns it off himself, which just makes this ability an ability that could be used to torture other people, but it is just absolutely broken due to the properties that it ends up using. And the only weakness this ability has is a character like Jiraiya, who has an in-depth comprehension of the Rasengan, and we don't fully understand the reason why, but maybe we'll get an explanation later. So I don't think a character like Naruto would have the same level of understanding of the Rasengan as a character like Jiraiya, but that is one of the weaknesses that we have seen, as the Uzuhiko did not work on Jiraiya, and another one would be the Karma, absorbing this ability, which would basically negate it. So unless you have those specific requirements, which most characters don't have, you are absolutely cooked if you see Boruto activate the Uzuhiko. Now we are left with two more abilities to this discussion. And one of these abilities that are absolutely broken is Jiraiya's Divine Tree Roots. Because after Boruto and Kawaki vs Jiraiya took place, the one thing that stayed on my mind and truly scared me was Jiraiya's Divine Tree Roots, because of how powerful they seem to be. For what we have seen, Jiraiya is able to pull these Divine Tree Roots from anywhere whenever he feels like using them. These Divine Tree Roots are able to heal Jiraiya back to his baseline. Usually, the other Senju don't have control over the Divine Tree Roots. All they have to do is go back to the Senju dimension where the Divine Tree Roots end up automatically healing them, just like we saw Hidari do time after time during his fight in the Leaf Village. However, Jiraiya on the other hand can summon them at will, not only to help heal himself, but he also uses the Divine Tree Roots to defend himself from attacks, as we saw in his fight versus Kawaki, where he used it to heal himself, and right after he tanked a direct blow from Kawaki. And this was one of Kawaki's big blows that he usually uses to end a fight. Kawaki launched it at Jiraiya, but Jiraiya tanked it with the Divine Tree Roots. Personally, I think that we will get to see Jiraiya showcase an offensive variant of this ability, as in the 4th Great Ninja War, we saw that the Divine Tree Roots were capable of sucking people's chakra, so maybe in the future we see that Jiraiya is capable of doing the same thing, where he is either nullifying ninjutsu by absorbing it using the Divine Tree Roots, or is attacking you with the Divine Tree Roots and sucking the life force out of you. Pause, I just have to add that somewhere in the video. But moving on to the last most broken ability, we're going to have to talk about Mamushi's cloning ability, where Mamushi can clone himself to an infinite amount. Only drawback is the fact that he gets dumber and dumber and his movements become more simple to read. A lot of people may be surprised by the fact that I am including this in this video, but it is actually underrated, because people don't really see how impressive and useful this ability is. Mamushi is currently fighting every major fighter in the Leaf Village right now, and he is about to fight Damon too. He's doing this all by himself. Usually we see a duo of Senju members go and fight various people, as we saw with Ryu and Matsuri, and we saw with Hidari and Jiraiya, but Mamushi on the other hand, he is doing this all by himself. People may say that, oh, Mamushi is weak because Chocho can kill him, but that doesn't showcase the full context. Mamushi doesn't attack you unless you attack him first, where he first asks you if you know anything about Ida, because his intention is not to fight you, but it is merely to gather intel. The only person who he has fought seriously since the beginning is Boruto, as he met Boruto before, and all the Senju want to take Boruto down because of the fact that he has so much information, as Jiraiya has told all of them. And we do see that when Boruto fought versus Mamushi, he was pushed quite a bit and ended up needing to use the Karma. While when it comes to Kawaki, Kawaki is not supposed to be killed. he is supposed to be the sacrifice that ends up being used to create a divine tree. So when the Mamushi comes by Kawaki, it is simply to serve as a decoy. And that is the same thing when Mamushi fights everyone else, as his goal is to get the most eyes on him so that he can find Ida's location. But I want you to imagine one character having to fight Mamushi, where Mamushi can turn into 100 or even 200 or even a lot more and keep the same strength. That would be overkill. So although we haven't seen Mamushi truly go all out in my opinion, and I believe we will see it when he fights a character like Damon or really approaches his goal of finding Ada, I do believe that it is at that moment that we can truly see his full abilities. So don't underestimate this ability of being able to clone yourself, as it is pretty broken. But you guys let me know how you guys would rank all of these abilities from strongest to weakest in the comment section below. And after that, watch this video right here to figure out the secret Otsutsuki abilities that Boruto and Kawaki have access to that nobody is really talking about.